What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's my team selection for Game Week 14. So I'm going to show you how the team is looking, thoughts on where to use my one free transfer, which I basically have to use this week because I've got 3 red flags in my team. And I'll quickly show you how I did in Game Week 13 as well, off the back of my free hit, which is the final chip in the first half of the season that I had to use. Quick note, usually on Sunday I do the knee-jerk stream. I've decided not to do it this week, just because of the quick turnaround in game weeks. I think it's more important to focus on the videos. It'll be the same for game week 15 as well, but the knee-jerk streams will be back ahead of game week 16. So if you are someone that enjoys them, just a couple of game weeks off of them, then we'll be back. So team selection right now, let's get into it. So let's start with game week 13, which was quite frankly an absolutely ridiculous week. It went far better than I think I even imagined. I used my free hit, which is my last chip for the first half of the season, and scored 74 points. I've gone from 125k to inside the top 25k. So I'm around 22,500 right now. That might update later on because I'm recording this straight after the Arsenal-Chelsea game. And Danzo, who came off the bench for Salah, which we'll come on to in a minute, is only on a 1-pointer. But he might get updated to 3 because of DEFCONs. And that's probably going to happen after I record this video. So hopefully I'll be a little bit higher than that. But whatever it ends up being, top 25k after 13 weeks, I'm absolutely taking that. And I think this team has outscored my non-free hit team by about 20 to 25 points. My non-free hit team actually didn't do that bad. Dewsbury Hall goal, Bruno Fernandes 2 assists, Saka assist, Van Dijk clean sheet, Mateta goal. But it still wasn't enough to outscore the free hit team, which... just one of those weeks where everything goes your way and you get a lot of luck. I mean, after the Man United Palace game, delighted that Man United won, but I was still thinking to myself, why didn't you keep Bruno? Why didn't you go Bruno? And then Gakpo goes and gets a goal assist and 3 bonus and finishes on 14 points. And if I'd gone for Bruno, Gakpo would have come out of the team. So it was just crazy. I've got to, before I get onto the players that scored the points, I've got to talk about Salah because on the deadline stream, a few people asked me, is there any chance he gets benched? And I was adamant it would not happen. I think someone even said, I'll bet you £200. I was like, I'll take your money. I just did not see that coming because they were on such a bad run that if they'd lost that game after benching Salah, the pressure would have been even bigger. Like so many questions would have been asked about why you didn't play arguably your best attacker, although he hasn't been that this season. And he didn't start. So I hold my hands up. I got that completely right. I just thought there was no chance of that happening. And he missed out completely. Didn't even come off the bench. And then Liverpool obviously won. So fair play to Arne Slot. I got Danzo off the bench for that. Like I said, 1-pointer right now. Could be 3. Elsewhere, Martinez, Cash, double Aston Villa clean sheet. 7 points for Martinez, 1 save. Cash got 6. O'Reilly obviously conceded twice but got an assist. Foden, I mean... look, I wouldn't say that FPL is all luck, but you definitely need a lot of luck to do well. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. Back around game week 6, I said Mbeumo was a better pick than Foden because of minutes. I got the points right for Mbeumo, but I got the minutes completely wrong. And I've said over the last couple of weeks, a few times, Foden owners have been really unlucky. He's played lots of minutes and just got no returns. I free hit him in, he gets 2 goals, 15 points. It's just ridiculous. Honestly, Thiago, 13-pointer, potentially now injured. If I've brought him in for a 13-pointer only for people who didn't free hit to now have an injury to deal with, again, like, how lucky is that? I'm trying to think of all the other luck that went my way. Bournemouth concede 3 times to Sunderland, so Senesi doesn't do anything. And Semenyo, who's super high-owned, there's so many people that didn't free hit this week that would have had Semenyo, and somehow he blanks. Like Evan Nielsen, if you haven't seen the highlights for that game, go and watch them. How Semenyo didn't get an assist. Evan Nielsen missed and hit the post. And then later on, Evan Nielsen nicks what would have been a Semenyo goal, or at the very minimum, an assist for an own goal. And because Evan Nielsen was offside, it didn't count. So like all these things just went my way. I'm trying to think of one thing that didn't quite go for me. I mean, Nathan Collins could have scored for Brentford. In another world, I would have gone triple Villa defence and gone for Dango Utara. That would have probably been instead of Gakpo. So it went so well that I'm not even thinking about all the things that have gone wrong. It was just lucky. So, yeah, Collins 4-pointer, Defcons. Vandenberg didn't get the Defcons in that game. Rogers 3-pointer, Sharda 3 points, Gakpo 14. I mean, even Haaland, captain, I wanted him to blank. His ownership is so high with triple captain. It was better for me for him to blank. And that's exactly what he did. I don't know what to say. Lots of luck involved, but I am absolutely delighted to be this high this early in the season because it's a real chance now to kick on. And it might not happen. I might have an absolute disaster game week 14. There might be a ton of rotation, but I feel like I'm in a pretty good position. I'm going to enjoy it because it's the first... Like, my overall ranks the last kind of 4 or 5 seasons have actually not been that bad, to be honest, even though I beat myself up about them. But I haven't been this high this early for quite a while. And so I'm going to enjoy it for now. And the next couple of game weeks come thick and fast as well, which is always nice. Yeah, very lucky, as people will no doubt point out. But I'm going to take it. Free hit 13, something I've been eyeing up for a while. The decision was sound. The outcome was ridiculously lucky. And I've said ridiculous and lucky so many times now, but I'm just going to leave it all in. Yeah, good week. All my chips have now been used. Let's take a look at Game Week 14, where I've got a few problems. So this week, I've got 1 free transfer and 0.3 million in the bank. I had intended originally to play 4-4-2, but Senesi decided to go and get his 5th yellow card of the season, and he's now suspended for Game Week 14. So I haven't got him for that Everton at home fixture. My plan for Senesi was to play him this week, then sell him in Game Week 15. So potentially, I could use my 1 free transfer to sell him this week instead. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to leave him on the bench and hope that the rotation in my team is not that bad. Ultimately, there is not many defenders I want to buy with a great fixture this week. Like, I'm only on 2 Crystal Palace, so I could buy Richards for a double up, but I'm not that interested in the double up after this week. And like Malik Chow from Newcastle, not a bad option whatsoever, but I could still make that transfer next week instead if I wanted to. Basically, I think that transfer is better used elsewhere in 14, and I can just stick to my original plan to sell Senesi in 15 instead. I'm definitely not going to take a hit when we've got 5 free transfers just around the corner in Game Week 16. So my actual defence this week is Raya in goal. No issues with that whatsoever. Obviously, they conceded against Chelsea, who were very good in that game, by the way, even when they were down to 10 men. But it's a great fixture against Brentford at home. And I've got the double up with Timber. So back to having double Arsenal defence after the free hit. And look, Saliba was missing out for Arsenal. Apparently he picked up a knock in training, so they played Mosquera and Nketiah centre-backs. That is a bit of a worry for Arsenal defence, but they're still so strong overall. I'm more than happy to have the double up. And by the way, this week is a midweek game week, so Arsenal are going to have to play again on Wednesday. There's going to be a lot of chat about rotation. And it definitely could happen. There is going to be some unforeseen benchings midweek. The problem is, unless you know for certain which players they're going to be, you've kind of just got to play your players with good fixtures and hope for the best. So Timber, for example, I suspect I'm going to get a lot of questions over the next couple of days. Will he play? Will he not? It's hard to say for certain, but I think he will play for what it's worth. I think he's going to get a rest soon, but in the Champions League and maybe Carabao Cup as well. I think Premier League he'll play against Brentford. This might be a game where he doesn't go the full 90, maybe comes off around 70, 75, but that's not even that bad for a defender. And look, maybe he does get benched, but I cannot be confident enough to call that where I would actually bench him when he's got Brentford at home, because if he plays, it's a good fixture. So I'm going to play Raya and Timber. Lacroix, I don't really have too many concerns about. He's played every single minute for Crystal Palace so far this season. You could say that means he's due a bit of a break. But he is a centre-back, right? So I think there's no real issue there. And Burnley away is such a good fixture. Again, unless Glasner comes out and says he's going to get a rest, there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm going to play Lacroix. And then Van Dijk against Sunderland at home. He finally gets another clean sheet, albeit when I free hit him out. But I'm still more than happy to have him moving forward. This won't be the last time that we have a game week over Christmas, which comes very quick after the previous one. And Van Dijk, I just do not have to worry about him. I'm just going to keep him for the next 6, 7, 8 game weeks unless he gets injured. There's no real decision to be made there. Sunderland at home is not a bad fixture. We know he's got decent goal threat, etc. Yes, the clean sheets haven't been there this season, but there's no reason they can't pick up a few more moving forward. It was also nice to see Gomez playing right back as well. I don't know how many games he can play right now, because he's been, or just had so many injury concerns and fitness problems and stuff like that. But overall, it is good to have him in that right back spot. I think that will hopefully make them a bit more secure defensively. The only defender on my bench that's not suspended is Anderson against Man City at home, so I don't really want to play him because it's just not a great chance of a clean sheet. But he isn't bad for DEFCONs. So at the very minimum, he's probably going to get me an additional 2 points on top of whatever he gets outside of that. I mean, it could be that City score a lot of goals and it ends up minus points, but that seems unlikely. So if Anderson has to come on, it's fine. But obviously, I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to play him. So no moves planned for defenders in game week 14, but Senesi out in 15 is very likely to happen. My planned transfer for Senesi, by the way, is Vandenberg, ready for Leeds at home in 16 and Wolves away in 15. So I do Senesi to Vandenberg in 15 and just bench Vandenberg to get my transfer use. But I might look at Chow for Newcastle. The problem is, I think when I make my transfer this week on my attacker, which I'll talk about in a second, I won't have any money in the bank, so I'm not sure I'll even be able to afford Chow. So Vandenberg is what I'm looking at, but let's see what happens in game week 15, because game week 14 might throw something up which changes the plan. So it's a 5-man midfield this week. Dewsbury Hall finds himself in the 11 with that Senesi suspension. Originally, I was going to bench Dewsbury Hall, but honestly, any excuse I get to play him, I'm kind of happy with. Like, it could be a better fixture than Bournemouth away, but we know he's going to start. The minutes are good. He's got that number 10 position locked down, some set pieces as well. He's just a really nice rotation piece over the next few game weeks, where some weeks I'll use him, sometimes he'll be benched. This week I need him, so he's in the 11. Paquetá, on the other hand, not quite so useful. Got himself sent off in game week 13 against Liverpool for 2 yellow cards, so he'll just miss the Man United game in game week 14. I'm going to sell him. It's much more interesting to sell Paquetá with my 1 free transfer than it is to sell Senesi. Like I said, I can just sell Senesi next week. And my intention this week was always to do Paquetá to Minte, and Paquetá has just made it very easy to go through with that transfer. So that's what I'm going to do. Paquetá is 5.9, Minte is 6.2. I've got 0.3 in the bank. It couldn't be more perfect. I haven't made that move yet, and I'm not likely to do it on Sunday night either, because Paquetá's not looking like he's going to drop. Minte's not looking like he's going to go up in price, but I won't risk it. If at any point a price change, either for Paquetá going down or Minte going up, looks likely, whether it's tonight on Sunday or tomorrow on Monday, I will do that ahead of the press conferences. I'm not going to miss that transfer because Minte is someone I've wanted a little while. I mentioned maybe doing that move in game week 12 anyway, and the next few fixtures look quite good for Minte. Like, Villa at home is not super easy, but it's better than playing Anderson against Man City at home. Then it's West Ham at home, which is really nice. Liverpool away in 16 is not quite so good. My rough thoughts for that week is to do Minte to Utara as a 1 week punt because he's got Leeds at home. Now, Utara will go to African Cup of Nations, so he's a guaranteed transfer back out. But as long as he's available for game week 16, which we'll find out before the deadline, potentially that's a 1 week punt. Worst case scenario, I've got to use my transfers on other stuff and I just play Minte against Liverpool away. I don't really want to do that, but it wouldn't be the end of the world because then he's got Sunderland at home. So 3 of the next 4 are at home: Villa, West Ham, Sunderland. He's going to come in for Paquetá. It was already the transfer I wanted to do. Paquetá has just made it super easy. Cunha's red flagged. He missed game week 13, which we knew was going to happen. He should be back for West Ham at home. I will say, though, I don't think you can buy him. If you've got him in your squad, just play him. But to buy him is risky. Man United play on Thursday. The deadline is Tuesday. Amorim's press conference probably won't be till Wednesday. So you won't get an update. There is a chance Amorim will just say Cunha's still not available. I don't think that's likely, but it's a possibility. For me, I've got to play him. He's in my team. It's West Ham at home. It's Wolves away in 15. I've got to stick with him because he's already there. Is there a chance that even if he's available, he gets benched? That's also a possibility. Mount played well against Palace. Xerxes got his goal as well. Mount also scored. For what it's worth, I don't think that means they definitely stay in. And Mount's always got problems trying to stay fit. Cunha could easily come in and play ahead of Xerxes, but there's not necessarily a need for Amorim to kind of force it. If he thinks he wants to play Cunha off the bench this week, then start him against Wolves. That's absolutely what could happen. But I'm just going to have to take the risk that he starts against West Ham. There is part of me now thinking maybe I should have just gone Foden, but that's obviously a bit of a reaction to what happened in game week 13. I still think Cunha is going to be quite a nice pick, but Mount and Xerxes scoring has made me waver a little bit. And for what it's worth, I think Cunha will start the majority of games for Man United, both before Mbeumo goes to AFCON and definitely afterwards. But in the short term, especially with the game weeks coming quick, it is a bit of a risk now he's missed the last two. But hopefully he just comes straight back in. I will not be selling him, not for a hit. It'll be Paquetá out instead. Worst case scenario, Cunha gets no minutes and Anderson comes on. Bruno Fernandes and Saka definitely staying. Great fixtures, West Ham at home. Saka's got Brentford at home. I really don't buy this Saka could get rotated. Like, okay, obviously it could literally happen. I'm not completely ruling it out, but my prediction is Saka will start. I think early sub is the more likely thing to happen. Like, it's a Sunday, Wednesday turnaround. Arsenal have had that plenty of times. Yes, Madueke's back now, so he could start on the right, but Madueke can also play on the left as well. So I think Saka starts. I think Fernandes definitely starts, right? There's no doubts about that. Some people mentioned to me that he was holding his hamstring in the Palace game. It just looked like cramp to me. It didn't force him off. He carried on running afterwards. You know what this guy's like. He's always available. I don't see any issues. The captain's armband's currently on Fernandes. I'm not sure if I can... The reason it's on Fernandes over Saka is minutes, really. I kind of want to go against Haaland this week for captaincy. I'm not sure I'm definitely going to do that, but that's what I would like to do. And I know Fernandes is almost certainly going to play 90. I don't know if I can say the same about Saka. And for all the talk about Fernandes, like someone says to me, he's a ball-playing centre-back, he's a defensive midfielder. He's returned on... I think he's returned, like, he's only blanked once in the last 6 game weeks or something. And he's not always had huge scores, I get that. But there's no player that gets a huge score every single week. He's got so many routes to points. And all this talk about him playing deeps, it's just right. Like, his stats were pretty good again against Palace. They were good against Everton the week before. He gets forwards. He creates chances still. He takes some set pieces. He's got DEFCON potential. He's on penalties. West Ham at home is a great fixture. It's better than Brentford at home. It's better than Fulham away, which is what Haaland's got. So the armband's on there. I don't know if I'm going to take it off. And if I do, I'm also not sure where I'm going to put it. I think on paper, Saka's great if he goes and plays 90. I just don't know how likely that is. And obviously, Haaland's blanked a couple of games in a row. That's not going to continue. But Fulham away is not super easy either. So, I don't know. Fernandes and Saka definitely staying. It's just whether the armband stays there. I think there's like a 77% chance that it will. Put it that way. I'm quite confident, but not enough to say right now it's guaranteed. But either way, I'm happy with that midfield generally. I think Dewsbury Hall, Saka, Fernandes, Cunha. Maybe not Cunha, actually. Saka, Fernandes, Dewsbury Hall and Minte. Minutes have been looking great, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. Cunha should be fine as well. So overall, I'm happy with the midfield, but I do wonder, everyone's going to pile into Foden now after the 2 goals at the weekend. Could that hurt me over the next few weeks? Let's see. I've basically got Cunha where people have got Foden. It's going to be a tough call between who does better. Hopefully it's Cunha, but I'm not super enthusiastic about that right now. And then up front, it's Haaland against Fulham away and Mateta against Burnley away. Haaland going absolutely nowhere anytime soon. And honestly, that Salah benching has made it even easier, as if it wasn't already easy, but even easier to keep Haaland, because now you've got genuine concerns about Salah's minutes and he's off to AFCON soon. So unless Haaland gets injured, there's going to be zero reason to sell him at any point. There's just not going to be a better use of the money. So Haaland stays, might get the armband before the deadline, but I'm super tempted to go Fernandes. I said this weeks ago that game weeks 12, 14 and 16 were potentially times to go against Haaland with away games. I got away with it once. Can I get away with it again? I don't know. Game week 16 when he's got Palace away, I'm very tempted to go Saka against Wolves at home. So this is the only week I'm slightly wavering because Fulham away is not awful in terms of a fixture, but it's also not great either. So hopefully I stick to Fernandes. But again, let's see. Mateta is another player I think people will be a little bit worried about in terms of minutes this week. Essentially, it's Burnley away. I'm not going to bench him. I'm not going to sell him. So I'm not going to think about it more than that. Could he get benched for this fixture? Potentially. But I tell you what, that Sarr injury makes it a lot less likely. Because if you bring in Ketia in for Mateta and you haven't got Sarr as well, you've lost the 2 main points of your attack. And it's not to say that players like Pino can't do well as well, because of course they can. But Sarr and Mateta are the main 2. You take both those threats out, just not so great. So could he get benched against Burnley? It's a possibility. Out of my whole team, he's one of the players I'd be most worried about. But it's Burnley. I can't sell him. And even if I sell him, who for? Like Thiago, even if he's fit, has got Arsenal away. Welbeck's another player I don't think you can be fully confident will start midweek. And Voltemada, who if he starts I quite like for the next two against Spurs at home, Burnley at home, is another player I don't think I would 100% guarantee a start from. Like he got benched midweek in the Champions League. Gordon played through the middle. Gordon didn't start the last game. Could he play through the middle again? Potentially. Most likely chance is that Gordon comes in and plays on the left and Voltemada's through the middle, but it's not a guarantee. So I'm still of the same thought process that actually there's not a huge amount of great forwards that I'm in love with right now for FPL, and therefore there's no need to force Mateta out. So I think with 3 red flags and maybe Timber worries, Mateta worries, Saka worries, it doesn't look great. But actually, maybe naively, I'm a little bit more confident in the minutes of most of my players. Like once I do Pakatata Minty, I think he starts. Dewsbury Hall starts. My whole defence, I think, will be fine. Timber, slight concerns, but not enough to do anything about it. Fernandes is always good. Cunha is obviously a worry, but not because of general minutes concerns, just because he's been out. And so it's just Mateta. So I'm pretty hopeful that at the very most, one of my players will miss out entirely and then Anderson will come on. Because that's the other point, right? People will worry about rotation, but unless it's a player you're comfortable benching, you're just going to play them anyway because the chances are they won't miss out completely. So if you're worried that your bench is thin this week, hasn't got much cover, like let's say you've got Mateta and you're looking at your bench thinking, I really don't want any of those players to come on. It doesn't matter because you're not going to bench Mateta because it's Burnley. And if he does get not dropped, but rotated for rest, he'll probably come on. And I know I'm saying that after a week where Salah literally didn't come on when I fully expected him to. When I saw him bench, I thought 100% he'll come on. So I've just got Salah completely wrong this week, but I'm pretty confident someone like Mateta would come on. If Timber gets benched for White, and obviously game state matters, like if Palace was 6-0 up after 50 minutes, then yeah, Mateta probably doesn't come on. But I think the same thing with Timber. If White starts, I think Timber will just come on for like 10, 15 minutes in the second half. So I'm not going to worry about it right now as much as other people, unless someone can convince me otherwise. It's going to be Pakatata Minty. I'm going to hope that Cunha starts, or at least play some part in that game. And I think the rest of the team looks fairly good. And with 5 free transfers in 16, I'm not about to start taking hits when I haven't taken one all season. I'll spend the next few days thinking about that captaincy. The one thing that's making me want to keep it on Fernandes is he plays Thursday, and it's the only game Thursday night. So if I can get through to Thursday with a green arrow, with potentially Cunha and Fernandes captain, that'll feel really good. But obviously the flip could happen. The flip side of that could happen, right? Haaland could have smashed it, and then I'm waiting to see whether Fernandes can do anything. Or am I just sat there counting defensive contributions? So, I don't know. But overall, I'm really happy with my team in 14. I knew it would look pretty good after free hit. 15 will look a bit worse, but overall not terrible. There we go. Make sure to give it a like and hit that subscribe button if you found it useful. My plan, by the way, is to do a transfer tips video tomorrow and then have final thoughts out on Tuesday to cover any questions and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of players covered in the transfer tips video, which I think will be helpful for like Saar, Nick Pope, etc. And that'll be out fairly early tomorrow. And then any other questions I've missed, captaincy talk, free hit drafts for 14, etc., will all be in that final thoughts video. So plenty of content to come, even though it's a Tuesday deadline. And then it'll be the same again for Game Week 15. So thanks for watching. Hope you had a good week in 13. If not, a better one in 14. And I will catch you again tomorrow.